Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic and that you're all having a great day. Don't forget to like the video. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. Very big thank you to everyone who likes the video every single day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. As you might have imagined, there's a lot of intense news. There's always stuff happening within this market. We seem to be in, at least right now, for the foreseeable future, we're in some kind of a loop where we are getting a lot of news about accumulation and buying Bitcoin from companies and institutions. I still hold, this is personal, the idea. There are people out there who are trying to spread the idea that prices over the last couple of months were trending sideways or whatever the case might have been because of older wallets either moving coins around or selling, which is complete nonsense. There was just another article that I saw, I think 2 wallets from 2012, I think they moved their coins. They didn't sell them. They didn't move them to a crypto exchange. They moved them to another wallet address. And a lot of people were reporting as if that was something terrifying and scary that we're supposed to have some sort of fear about. No, the market is just doing what it's doing because of manipulation, but we're also at the point where the manipulation doesn't really make a lot of sense because we keep getting the same kind of news nearly every single day. Metaplanet. Metaplanet is back in the news. You know them. People call them the Japanese MicroStrategy. They are a hotel chain. Yeah, we learned that about a week ago. They're apparently a mini budget hotel chain. And for some reason now they're a Bitcoin treasury company. Metaplanet is back in the news. I told you it would take no more than a day. They've acquired another 1,005 Bitcoin. This is the first time that they haven't done some kind of a gimmick with their purchase. They always purchase 123, 456, 888. They recently had 8,888, then they had 10,000, then they had 11,111. Then they recently also had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is their first time not having some sort of a gimmick, increasing their treasury to 13,350 coins. The Japanese company issued another bond series to redeem earlier debt, swapping secured for unsecured bonds. And then it says MTPLF shares are causing a short squeeze for earlier short sellers. Their current plan, as far as we know, is this year to get to 100,000 Bitcoin. And by the end of next year, this company wants to have 210,000 Bitcoin. So I would assume that that's what a huge portion of the buying news has been quite recently for this company. It says Metaplanet extended its streak of accelerated Bitcoin purchases, adding another 1,005 Bitcoin to their treasury. By the end of H1, the company already surpassed their earlier goal, they said in January. Their goal was for the entire year to have 10,000 Bitcoin. They have passed by that, as their new goal is to have 100,000 Bitcoin. The Japanese company hit its stride with 4 rounds of purchases in June, now ranking 7th. They were previously 10th among the top corporate treasuries. Recently, Metaplanet surpassed Tesla's treasury as well. I think Tesla has 11,000 or something like that, which is passive and that has not seen inflows for months. And here's the tweet for it right here. Like I said, a lot of what we have recently received or been getting in the news has been, I don't want to say the word repetitive, but a lot of it has to do with companies, corporations, institutions, and governments buying I was recently this was yesterday. I was with a friend. We were in a restaurant. We were talking about the market. It's one of those things where we both try not to talk about the market because it's so prevalent. And then eventually we end up getting there at some point. And he was talking about how scarce and how rare everything is. We were going over prices. We were going over the idea of the average person not even having $500 for an emergency. Nonetheless, $500 to their name, the ramifications of a world where Bitcoin takes over everything and the only people who hold the majority of it are these companies and institutions for whatever the reason might be. We live on a planet where a lot of people don't think about the future. They don't think about savings. They don't think about investing. Hearing news that all these companies are doing the exact same thing and therefore it's leading to something has not sparked curiosity in the masses. And we're going to see a world where the richest people hold all the Bitcoin. Bitcoin will become the new financial everything, and that's just the way that things are. Yeah, that's the Metaplanet news. I'm going to assume we're going to hear about them again in another day and a half, because that's the way that it's been in trending every now and again. Yeah, that's the Metaplanet news. Okay, let's move on. This is also part of it as well. This is just another thing about it. Also in popular news, the US SEC, thus far, yes. The US SEC has claimed in recent months that they're a brand new person. They can be trusted and relied on, and a lot of previous lack of regulation and oversight is now going to be a thing, and they're going to help the cryptocurrency space, and that new laws and rules and regulations will be put in place to help the cryptocurrency market. I don't think I have it here. There was a brand new proposal. The SEC said that they're actually thinking of creating something like a generic ETF application for cryptocurrency companies so that they can basically completely bypass everything that we've been going through, as opposed to it taking months and months and months. And it's ridiculous, because I said this years ago. So maybe it was just always there. Now they're just kind of rolling it out. My idea was that just have something you can download online as a company, or you can print out and you can fill out. Plain and simple, you would be able to get the rules and regulations of what it says on the paper as to what you can and cannot do to be able to get that crypto ETF to go through. And now we're kind of circling back around to what we heard earlier this year once again, as far as, BlackRock and a number of other companies are trying to switch their ETFs that they already have over into staking ETFs, and also what's called in-kind redemptions. A bit confusing that they phrase it that way. It's basically if you have a Bitcoin ETF and you threw US dollars into it and you held it for 6 months and you're like, okay, cool, I want to cash out. Instead of getting dollars back, you would get Bitcoin instead. The weirdest part of a lot of this, and I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, only they do. We've heard a lot of this news in February and March that all these things were happening, all these things were imminent, this is going to take place, and it's going to happen tomorrow, and there's something happening next week. Do you remember whoever that guy's name is? There was some guy from the White House who was like, yeah, it's imminent. In 2 days, the White House is going to announce how they're buying Bitcoin. That was like March 3rd or something like that. So apparently this is in the exact same bucket. I'm going to say it's in a bucket because that seems to be the only thing that kind of makes sense right now. U.S. SEC Commissioner, her name is Hester Pierce. Hester Pierce has claimed that in-kind creations and redemptions for crypto ETFs were definitely coming at some point. She explained that this approach would allow ETF issuers to deliver and redeem fund shares using crypto assets directly, rather than cash, thereby reducing costs. The US SEC mandated a cash redemption model with the initial wave of spot Bitcoin ETFs in January 2024, and that was namely, as far as we know, because of Gary Gensler. US SEC's Hester Peirce dropped a hint about the possibility of in-kind redemptions for crypto ETFs, saying they were definitely on the horizon. The NASDAQ submitted a Form 19B-4 on behalf of BlackRock in January, requesting the US SEC to allow in-kind creations and redemptions for Bitcoin ETFs, a shift from the current cash-based system. US SEC Peirce explained that the redemptions would allow ETF issuers to deliver and redeem fund shares using crypto assets more directly, yada, yada, yada. In December of 2023, the US SEC met with all spot Bitcoin ETF issuers, and I believe the Ethereum ones as well also had some conversations with the SEC, because they were all trying to either initiate staking on the actual paperwork or have in-kind redemptions, which is really weird because it basically would circumvent the actual usage of the US dollar and ask them to remove any reference to in-kind redemptions from their filings and include cash creates only. So I saw a couple of other articles going around. I'm not sure if it was because of optimism or maybe people assuming that something was on the way or going to happen or something was about to take place. But so this article says, she says they're on the way. I read another article that said something like they're imminent. They're going to happen. Hester Peirce has given the thumbs up for this kind of thing. And I think the truth lies somewhere in between. I will never, for as long as I've been around and potentially in the future, understand why things take so long to actually do. This isn't like a magic trick. This isn't something that is going to rupture the universe as we know it. It's just paperwork that has to be like filed again, or something has to be added into the initial clause that's already there. I'm pretty sure it can also be, you can hit enter and just add it in a new paragraph online in some sort of form or fashion. These things shouldn't take months, but everything takes forever to do, especially within crypto. I truly don't understand why everything goes so slow, but maybe that's just the world that we live on. So at some point these will happen. I assumed, when you get news in January of someone saying imminent, I assumed by July. You might remember a lot of my predictions for things were around June and July, because I assumed, once again, if you have an office full of people, you can get stuff done. If BlackRock, let's be honest here, if BlackRock is asking you for something, you're probably going to have to do it. So cool. People think that this will issue in a new era of crypto, and the staking is going to do this, and that'll be awesome and amazing. And the in-kind stuff is also going not too hot for the US dollar. There's a lot of stuff that's been in the news, and it's not that I'm not expecting people to really understand what's going on, but it is a little weird that so many people just don't or aren't paying attention heavily to like what's happening with the dollar and how it's disappearing. It lost like 15% of its value since the beginning of the year. It's just a little odd, but cool. That's the popular Hester Peirce news. And yeah, let's move on. This one's a bit confusing. This isn't a joke. I read through this and I understand it. It's in English, but it's also like, I'm not, is this fake? Is it fake money? What exactly is supposed to be happening here? So based on our now long-standing daily tradition of having new companies get into Bitcoin, get into crypto, announcing that they're going to be accumulating crypto in some form or fashion, it should not come as a surprise at all that new companies are jumping into the market. This one, however, is a little bit weird, and I still think something is off. You know those like little machines? I remember like those claw machines. Like you put a quarter in, like the little janky claw like goes around, dips down, tries to pick up something, but you can tell that it's been loosened, so it's not gonna pick up anything. Yeah, one of those. Japanese online claw machine operator called Cyberstep. I understand that everybody wants to get into the space, but I do find it a little bit weird that we're getting like taco stands and hotel brands and like claw machine operators. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm often too cynical, but okay. Japanese online claw machine operator called Cyberstep is launching a new business arm called Crypttek. Okay. Crypttek Capital. Here's the confusing part, which will generate tokens used to buy Bitcoin and ETH as reserve assets. So are they just generating fake tokens that will have a value that they can then use to buy Bitcoin? Or are they investing in Bitcoin and Ether and then using that to generate tokens, which will then be used to also buy more Bitcoin and Ether? According to a recent report on CoinDesk Japan, the company that operates the online claw machine game called Toreba, who knows, has established its own dedicated crypto stockpile firm to manage its corporate crypto holdings. The newly established branch is called Crypttek Capital, and it is responsible for building a new revenue base for the company built with a Web3 focus. What does that mean? Stop using like these weird keywords and just like Web3 focus means absolutely nothing. Rather than issuing commercial shares or stock bids to generate revenue for a dedicated crypto treasury, Cyberstep plans to adopt a new business strategy they're calling the self-circulating token economy. You see how this is weird? Are they just creating like actually creating money out of not even thin air? Are they creating something and then giving it value and then selling that and using that to buy Bitcoin? What is a self-circulating? Okay. As a starter, the company will allocate 200 million yen from its own funds as an initial purchasing budget in the fiscal year that ends in May 2026. Afterwards, the company plans to gradually increase the funds allocated to the strategic reserve to as much as 1 billion yen. However, the firm stated that the plan is subject to change depending on market conditions. Okay. The strategy involves Cyberstep creating and promoting their own in-game tokens from the company's Web3 game services. The generated native token stockpile will then be exchanged for Bitcoin. The major tokens will be stored within the company's balance sheet. So they're announcing that they're going to be pulling a scam. They literally said that they're going to be generating a token and then they're going to be using that token to swap out for Bitcoin and Ether. Am I missing something? This isn't a joke either. This is something that's like actually happening. Most other companies, it says when they're not doing the whole stock thing, normally you would issue stock or sell stock or go into debt in some sort of fashion as a company and then use that debt money to then buy Bitcoin. This is like someone announcing, hey, we're going to be creating Tron and we're going to use the money that we make from Tron to then buy Bitcoin and Ether. And I assume it says they're generating the token, which means they're going to just keep printing more of that token. Can the token be used on the claw machines? Do people want a token? Are people asking for a token? This is weird. And I know it's not just me. If you don't think this is odd, this sounds incredibly scammy. Here's the actual original article on CoinDesk Japan about it. So I guess that's something. Yeah. This also popped up as another new company planning on buying Bitcoin. But this one literally just sounds like they're going to be generating a token for the company that seems to have no actual usage other than them announcing that they're going to be selling that token that they created out of thin air that's not backed by anything to buy Bitcoin. Well, that's the cyber step. What was the other weird name that they have? Crypttek Capital. Yeah, that sounds about dystopian. Crypttek Capital news. Okay, we'll see if they pop back up. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, I'm certain that none of you, if you are able to guess this at all, I'm pretty sure you're psychic, because we've just never heard anything like this. I'm not going to stop ranting, and I'm not. I promise you I won't, until it actually ends up happening. I need to understand how we're not at I would even dare say near 1 million at this point for Bitcoin. I'm just going to throw that out there because, the news is pretty nonstop. We heard about this company, I want to say a month ago. Meliuz, Meliuz. I was calling them Melouise. I mean, come on, let's be honest. How many words have those letters that don't look like Louise? Announced that they were thinking about getting into the cryptocurrency space, and that they were also thinking about having some sort of a Bitcoin treasury. Meliuz, previously known for their cashback operations, sure, why not? We all use them for their cashback, has apparently just become the largest holder of Bitcoin in all of Latin America, surpassing even Mercado Libre, who we haven't heard from in a very long time. I don't even remember what they do. I think that was a supermarket in Mexico, I think, who announced that they were also buying Bitcoin or mining it or something, or was that the company who allowed people to make crypto payments in their stores? It's been years. The chairman of Meliuz stated that with the latest purchase, the company now holds nearly 600 Bitcoin, and they're aiming to acquire more. Really? It says the largest holder of Bitcoin. Do they mean corporate holder? Because there's no way on this earth that that's actually a thing. Do you remember that billionaire from Mexico? This was 2018, 2019. I think there's like 3 famous billionaires. Of course, there are other billionaires in Mexico, but he's like one of the top ones, and he wrote whatever. And he was on TV back then talking about how much he loves Bitcoin. I'm certain he has thousands of Bitcoin. So I am going to assume this just means like corporate holder of said coin. It says Meliuz blazes past Mercado Libre to become the largest public. There we go. The largest public Bitcoin company. I was like, there's no way. You know how many rich people there are in Latin America? These people easily have over 601 Bitcoin. They can't. So corporation. Got it. Meliuz, a Latin American-based Bitcoin treasury company, is accelerating its operations to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. On Monday, their CEO reported another purchase of Bitcoin for the company, acquiring 275 Bitcoin for $28 million, with an average price of $103,000 per coin. The purchase puts Meliuz at the forefront of Bitcoin adoption in Latin America, becoming the public entity holding the most Bitcoin within the region. According to earlier reports, the first place was held by Mercado Libre, an e-tailer? Okay, an e-retailer, I assume. Giant whose holdings are not their own, but their customers. Cool. I guess. So, yeah, I don't know. The news every day is kind of in a weird loop of some sort where we're constantly just kind of hearing the exact same news over and over. That's what I try to be honest as much as I can here. That's what I was chatting about with my friend. He's like, I don't get it. I'm not understanding, because he's also been in the market, I want to say, since around 2021. I remember telling him about the market in 2020. I remember he jumped into it, I think of summer 2021, somewhere around there. And he's been in it ever since. He's not, as intense as most, but he's still in the market. And he tells me all the time, like, did you hear this? Did you hear this? I'm like, yes, I heard that. Yep, I know that. And he's like, wait, but I'm not understanding. Did these things happen? I'm like, yep, they all happened. And then there's just kind of a lull after that. I don't know if this news just isn't getting to other people in the cryptocurrency space. I don't know what the other crypto YouTubers are talking about, what they're discussing. But I feel like daily news like this should be at the forefront of everything that's going on. A lot of people are still making videos, reporting, writing on Twitter about like interest rate cuts and all these other things. Jerome Powell literally said, like, no, we're not going to get any. We're probably not going to get any interest rate cuts this year at all. A lot of what crypto has become in the last few years is kind of everyone looking up to and forward to rich people or billionaires or companies for them to, or even like the Fed, I don't know, like some kind of a savior thing where they want someone to save us, not realizing that like in realistic terms and fashions, like these companies are doing like the work of what other investors would normally do. This was a thing years ago. Everybody was waiting for people to buy Bitcoin for the price to go up. And now they're buying Bitcoin, but no one seems to take notice. I don't know if that made any sense. It should. I was speaking in English. Anyway, yeah, another day of nonstop purchases, and it's probably only going to continue because that's just the way that this market has been acting. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.